They say blood is thicker than water. But what if that thicker blood poisons your peace, shreds your dignity, and crushes your self-worth? Today, we're unmasking 7 subtle yet soul-shattering betrayals from siblings that Stoic philosophy demands we never tolerate. These aren't just petty squabbles. They're deep violations of your boundaries, your trust, and your sacred inner peace. You don't owe anyone your sanity just because you share DNA. You have every right to fiercely protect your mind, your energy, and your future. If you've ever felt like the outcast, the scapegoat, or simply invisible in your own family, this video is your lifeline. Before we dive deep, smash that like button and subscribe to Stoic 101, your arsenal for building unshakable inner peace in a chaotic world. Let's begin. Number 1. The covert underminer, smiling to your face, stabbing you in the back. Some betrayals hit like a thunderclap. Others seep in silently, like a toxic gas, almost unnoticed until your self-worth is gasping for air. One of the deadliest? The sibling who undermines you when you're not looking. They'll flash a smile at your success, but the words they whisper in your absence are laced with poison. I'm thrilled for them. They might coo to a relative. But are they really ready? Or they've always been a bit impulsive, haven't they? These aren't direct assaults. They're insidious whispers of doubt, skillfully planted to erode your credibility without ever looking like the bad guy. At family gatherings, they might play the supportive role perfectly, but you feel it. The subtle shift in how others look at you. Conversations turn a degree colder. Trust hasn't just been broken, it's been meticulously dissolved by a campaign of quiet sabotage. And you're left wondering if you're the crazy one, if somehow you're the problem. The Stoics implore us, guard your mind like a fortress. Marcus Aurelius knew, the soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts. Let these betrayals slide and their negativity will stain your thinking, breeding self-doubt, anxiety, and a warped self-image. The Stoic path demands brutal honesty. See what is, not what you desperately wish it to be. Loyalty isn't a birthright, it's proven consistently through action. History screams a warning with Julius Caesar. Brutus wasn't blood, but Caesar saw him as a brother, a bedrock of trust. Publicly, Brutus was loyal, a picture of unity. Privately, he was plotting with those who saw Caesar's rise as their fall. The betrayal wasn't just violent, it was a devastating gut punch from someone he believed would shield him. Et tu, Brute, echoes the agony of being betrayed by your own. Caesar's failure wasn't just political, it was a catastrophic misjudgment of family loyalty. The Stoic lesson is crystal clear. Never let emotional ties blind you to a pattern of deceit. You don't need fury. You don't need revenge. You need distance, ironclad boundaries, and above all, unflinching clarity. If a sibling persistently acts to dismantle your integrity, protect your peace. No apologies. You owe no one your trust simply because you share a surname. Let your actions be your loudest statement. Let your character be your shield. And when words fail, let your dignified silence be your sword. As Epictetus taught, it is not events that disturb us, but our judgment about them. Your worth isn't in their gossip. It's in your virtue, your discipline, your refusal to be dragged down to their level. This is the first betrayal you must never normalize, because tolerating it is consenting to the slow death of your spirit. You cannot flourish where your wins are seen as their losses. Number 2, the success saboteur, cheering publicly, scheming privately. Envy rarely announces itself. It doesn't always slam doors or spit venom. Sometimes it wears the convincing mask of a sibling who applauds your victories in public, while secretly working to unravel everything you've painstakingly built. When a sibling sabotages your success, it's rarely a grand explosion. It's the drip, drip, drip of backhanded compliments, dismissive jokes, or outright discouragement disguised as concern. You land a promotion? Must be nice having connections. You create something meaningful? They'll shrug. It's all right, I guess. Don't get a big head. Every single win is met not with shared joy, but with friction, a subtle attempt to pull you back down. To the Stoic, their reaction isn't about your worth. It's a glaring spotlight on their own cavernous insecurity. Seneca hit the nail on the head. It is not the man who has too little, but the man who craves more, that is poor. Epictetus. A sibling incapable of celebrating your ascent reveals the poverty of their own spirit. Their sabotage isn't about you. It's about their desperate refusal to face their own stagnation. But while their bitterness is their burden, your exposure to it is your choice to control. Ignore it for too long, and it will wear you down. You'll start second-guessing your triumphs, shrinking your dreams to keep a false peace, muting your joy so they don't feel inadequate. Let's be brutally honest. Dimming your own light for someone else's comfort isn't kindness. It's a profound self-betrayal. Consider the tragic undertones in Vincent van Gogh's life. While his brother Theo was a rock, many in his closer family circle dismissed his art, mocked his struggles, and treated his burning passion like a frivolous distraction. Even at glimmers of breakthrough, he often faced a wall of disbelief or cold indifference. Van Gogh forged ahead, a testament to his spirit. But imagine the heights he might have reached, the peace he might have known, if those closest had offered fuel instead of frost. Stoicism teaches that while others may try to unbalance us, our true power lies in remaining anchored. As Marcus Aurelius powerfully stated, "Be like the cliff against which the waves continually break, but it stands firm and tames the fury of the water around it." When a sibling subtly tries to tear down your success, you face a stark choice. Will you dim your brilliance to appease their envy, or will you blaze brighter and force them to confront their own shadows? You are not required to defend your ambition. You don't need to justify your progress. And you certainly don't need anyone's permission to soar. If your growth makes someone uncomfortable, that's their issue to resolve, not your burden to carry. Let them whisper. Let them belittle. Let them simmer in their own discontent. Your mission isn't retaliation. It's to rise, silently, steadfastly, unapologetically. Number 3. The past weaponizer, using shared history to keep you chained. Family. They know your history like no one else. They've witnessed your stumbles, your meltdowns, your rawest, most unguarded moments. In a healthy dynamic, this shared past builds a bridge of compassion and deep connection. But in toxic soil, it becomes a devastating weapon. A sibling who hurls your past at you isn't just reminding you. They're actively trying to redefine you, to trap you. They twist old versions of you into chains, yanking you backward every time you dare to evolve. You could be making incredible strides, building a career, healing deep wounds, finally finding your voice, and then they drop the bomb. You've always been like this. Or, don't pretend you're some kind of saint now. These aren't reflections. They're reinforcements of an identity you fought hard to shed. And each time they utter these words, they're not just speaking to you. They're broadcasting to the entire family, cementing you in a role that no longer fits, a skin you've already outgrown. The Stoics saw this coming. Epictetus taught, don't explain your philosophy, embody it. You can't erase their perception of your past, but you absolutely control how you move forward. Stoicism isn't about fleeing from who you were. It's about facing it with clear eyes and refusing to let it dictate your present. Your past is a classroom, not a prison sentence. And if someone insists on treating you like a student who never learned the lesson, it's not your job to convince them. It's your responsibility to graduate and leave that classroom behind. Look at the fire and fury of Malcolm X's transformation. Before he became a global voice for justice, many in his own circles knew him only as Detroit Red, a hustler, an inmate, a cautionary tale. When he forged a new path, dedicating himself to human rights, some from his past didn't just doubt him. They tried to use his history to silence his powerful new voice. But Malcolm didn't waste breath defending his old self. He owned it, and then utterly transcended it. His actions, his discipline, his piercing clarity redefined him. You too must refuse to be frozen in a past version of yourself by anyone, even a sibling. Their refusal to acknowledge your growth speaks volumes about them, not you. Perhaps your evolution threatens them. Or worse, they need your past failures to feel good about themselves. But your journey is yours alone. Marcus Aurelius declared, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." You can't control if your sibling clings to the image of the old, reckless, or dependent you, but you can control your response. Stop explaining. Start building, and walk decisively away from anyone who insists on looking backward while you're striving forward. Family may know your history, but only you write your future. Don't let their old narratives sabotage your new chapter. Number 4, the public humiliator. Turning your vulnerability into their punchline. Some wounds heal in private. Others are brutally inflicted before a captive audience. A sibling who transforms your vulnerability into a cheap joke or exposes your private battles for a laugh isn't just being insensitive. They're shattering a sacred trust. They're choosing fleeting attention over enduring respect, a moment of spectacle over your lasting dignity. Maybe they mock your deepest fears at a family dinner. Perhaps they casually reveal your personal setbacks to your partner, friends, or, most cruelly, your children. They'll try to wave it off. "I was just kidding," or "You're way too sensitive." But let's be perfectly clear. There's a vast chasm between humor and humiliation, and Stoicism drills into us that dignity isn't a perk. It's a non-negotiable duty we owe ourselves. Seneca wisely noted, "No one can degrade us except ourselves unless we allow them to." Shakari, when someone ridicules you publicly, they're attempting to hijack your narrative, to define you in the eyes of others. The Stoic doesn't fight fire with fire, rage with rage. The Stoic responds with impenetrable boundaries. It's not about outshouting them. It's about permanently revoking their stage. Because here's the unvarnished truth. Humiliation is rarely just about the moment. In Medford, it's a power play. A sibling who exposes your pain in public is trying to assert dominance, to control the story, to keep you feeling small. And if you don't shield yourself, the damage doesn't vanish when the laughter dies. It reverberates. It warps how others perceive you and, insidiously, how you start to perceive yourself. Think of Princess Diana, whose life was a constant battle against betrayals from within her closest circles. Her struggles with mental health, her raw insecurities, her pleas for understanding were often met not with empathy, but with public dissection and media manipulation, some of it enabled by those who should have protected her. Her suffering became a public spectacle. Yet even under the most merciless spotlight, Diana fought to carry herself with grace. She drew lines, spoke her truth, and reclaimed her story, not with bitterness, but with poise and a quiet, steely strength. And that is the Stoic way. You don't descend to their level, you rise decisively above it. Marcus Aurelius reminds us, the best revenge is to be unlike him who performed the injury. If someone chooses to feast on your pain, let your response be calm, unequivocal, and final. Withdraw your trust, revoke their access, and most crucially, refuse to let their poison seep into your soul. You were not put on this earth to be a target for someone else's insecurity. Your vulnerabilities are not public entertainment. They are sacred. They are human. And if anyone, sibling or not, cannot treat them with the reverence they deserve, then they forfeit the privilege of your presence. Humiliation is a line drawn in the sand. Once crossed, there's no going back to normal. Not because you're nursing a grudge, but because you've finally, painfully accepted the truth. Some people only value you when they can control how the world sees you. And that is a betrayal the Stoic never ever tolerates. Dignity is not up for negotiation. Number 5, The emotional deserter, present in name, absent in soul. Not all betrayals shout. Some are deafening in their silence. The sibling who vanishes when life throws its heaviest punches, who turns a blind eye to your pain, who only resurfaces when the storm has passed. This is a betrayal cloaked in chilling apathy. It's not about what they did, but what they utterly failed to do, to simply be there when it mattered most. Emotional absence is a master of disguise. It hides behind a smokescreen of excuses. I just didn't know what to say. I figured you needed your space, or the classic, I was swamped with my own stuff. And while these reasons might sound plausible in isolation, repeated over time, they corrode the very core of trust, because when you were hitting rock bottom, grieving, failing, barely clinging on, they were a ghost. No call, no visit, not even a single supportive word. The Stoics would argue this is the ultimate litmus test of love, not how someone behaves when you're soaring, but who they become when you're broken. Epictetus taught that true friendship, and by extension, true familial loyalty, can only flourish where virtue resides. He who does not wish to be with me in my suffering, he might as well have said, cannot truly celebrate with me in my joy. A sibling who ghosts you in your hour of need isn't being neutral. They are actively choosing disengagement over empathy, comfort over connection. And let's be brutally honest, that absence leaves an indelible scar. You start to question your own worth. Was I too much to handle? Was I a burden? But that's the insidious trick of emotional abandonment. It dupes you into shouldering the guilt for their failure to care. You begin to minimize your needs, to toughen up, to pretend their absence didn't gut you. But it did. It always does. Frida Kahlo's story, though complex, whispers of this pain. After a devastating accident condemned her to a life of chronic agony, many closest to her struggled to show up emotionally. While her art became a global beacon of resilience, much of it was forged in profound solitude, a testament to surviving when those who should have held her couldn't or wouldn't. Her canvases scream not just of her strength, but of the aching void left by absent empathy. Stoicism doesn't demand we resent those who fail us, but it insists we see them with unclouded vision. Marcus Aurelius advised, when someone shows you their character, do not complain, only observe and adjust. If a sibling consistently chooses absence over support, stop expecting a haven where only a desert exists. You must learn to fiercely guard your energy, not from anger, but from profound wisdom. The emotionally absent sibling might never utter a cruel word. They may never raise their voice. But their silence in your darkest hours is a unique form of violence, a gaping hole where connection was supposed to be. And pretending that void is harmless only keeps you chained to a hope that will never materialize. You are allowed to need support. You are allowed to grieve its absence. And most importantly, you are absolutely allowed to stop extending your hand to those who only reach back when it costs them nothing. Ultimately, Stoicism teaches a simple yet life-altering truth. Your peace is your sovereign territory. If someone's absence repeatedly wounds you, your duty isn't to chase them. It's to choose yourself every single time. Number 6. The role forcer, keeping you trapped in a family script you've outgrown. From birth, families start casting, you might be the responsible one, the screw-up, the peacemaker, or the rebel. These labels often feel innocuous, just quirky nicknames, inside jokes, or dynamics that just are. But over time, they solidify into invisible cages. And when a sibling relentlessly shoves you back into a role that suffocates your growth, drains your spirit, and denies your true identity, they're not acting from love. They're desperately maintaining a system that keeps them comfortable, even if it's crushing you. Were you always the one expected to clean up every mess? To mediate every conflict? To absorb all the blame? Or perhaps you were branded the irresponsible one, and now no matter how much you've matured, they still patronize you, dismiss your ideas, or treat your achievements as flukes. The betrayal here is subtle but deeply damaging. It's their flat-out refusal to let you become. It's the quiet, insidious sabotage of your evolution. Epictetus warned, "Know first who you are and then adorn yourself accordingly." But how can you truly know yourself if someone is constantly dictating who you're supposed to be? The moment you start to outgrow these suffocating labels, when you begin setting firm boundaries, saying no, asserting your own needs, that sibling may lash out, not because you've harmed them, but because you've dared to deviate from their script. And in that instant, the role becomes an undeniable prison. Janet Jackson's journey is a powerful testament to breaking free. For years, she lived in the colossal shadow of her famous brothers, especially Michael. Often dismissed as the little sister, some family members reportedly resisted her fierce drive for creative independence. When she finally burst forth, unleashing revolutionary music and forging her own iconic identity, she didn't just reinvent herself, she shattered the pre-written narrative. This came with a price, facing pushback not just publicly, but from within her own family. Yet Janet persisted. She defined herself on her own terms, rejecting the confining roles others tried to impose. That's the Stoic imperative. We don't owe anyone a static identity, not even family. Marcus Aurelius reminds us, "A man must stand erect, not be kept erect by others." Your worth, your growth, your very essence. These are not group projects. They are personal revolutions. And anyone who insists you remain in a role that no longer fits isn't supporting you. They're controlling you. When a sibling tries to guilt trip you back into playing that outdated part, be it caregiver, scapegoat, or emotional dumping ground, they might frame it as loyalty. But loyalty that demands the sacrifice of your self-respect isn't loyalty at all. It's subjugation. You have permission to rewrite your story, to walk off their stage, to declare that's not me anymore. And if your evolution rattles their comfort zone, that's their storm to navigate, not yours to prevent. The Stoic doesn't seek conflict, but they will never tolerate injustice. And forcing someone into a role they've outgrown is a quiet, soul-eroding injustice. You may not change how your sibling sees you, but you absolutely can change how much power their perception holds over you. You are not your family's emotional shock absorber. You are not the sum of childhood labels. You are a dynamic, evolving being capable of profound transformation. And if your becoming offends them, then let it. Because true peace isn't found by staying small to fit their script. It's found by boldly writing your own. Number 7. The favoritism fiend. Turning parental love into a battlefield. Few betrayals cut as deeply or as insidiously as a sibling who views your very existence, not as kinship, but as a zero-sum game, who treats parental love like a scarce trophy to be won, even if it means trampling you in the process. This type of betrayal is uniquely corrosive because it wears the mask of family while planting seeds of bitter rivalry, resentment, and profound distortion. The sibling engaged in this toxic game doesn't just crave love. They crave being loved more than you. They'll expertly highlight your flaws when your parents are listening. They'll diminish your achievements, subtly rewrite shared histories, and twist facts to paint themselves as the golden child. Oh, perhaps they casually dredge up your past mistakes at the family dinner table. Or they'll feed your parents a steady diet of concerns about your lifestyle, your choices, your values, all under the guise of loving care. I'm just so worried about them. Okay, but it's not worry, it's psychological warfare waged under a flag of virtue. Seneca warned against this very dynamic. No man can live a happy life if he looks only to himself and turns everything to his own purposes. You must live for your neighbor if you would live for yourself. A sibling who claws for favor by tearing you down doesn't just reveal a lack of virtue. They expose a gaping wound of their own insecurity. Worse, they weaponize the sacred parent-child bond, turning your sense of belonging into a battleground. Consider the tormented life of Edgar Allan Poe. After being fostered by the wealthy Allen family, Edgar found himself in a fraught, competitive dynamic with his foster brother, William. William relentlessly sought their father's approval by undermining Edgar, painting him as irresponsible and unstable. This relentless competition for paternal favor left Poe feeling isolated, alienated, and ultimately disinherited. Despite his genius, Poe's life was shadowed by this early betrayal, the wounds of that rivalry echoing through his tormented existence. This is what makes such sibling rivalry so excruciating. It's not just an assault on your identity, it's a direct challenge to your very place within the family. It forces you to question your worth in your parents' eyes, and by extension, your fundamental worth as a person. Stoicism rightly teaches us not to depend on external validation. But when the war is waged within your own home, even the strongest spirit can falter. Marcus Aurelius famously wrote, "The best revenge is to be unlike him who performed the injustice." This means even as your sibling tries to conquer by slander, you refuse to engage in their theater of ego. Don't step onto their stage. Don't join their pathetic performance. Instead, live with unwavering dignity. Speak with unshakable integrity. Let your character be your silent, powerful defense. But this also demands something far harder, accepting that you may never win their approval, or even your parents', in the way you once desperately craved. That's the sharp, unyielding edge of Stoicism. Learning to release the addiction to external recognition and replacing it with an ironclad commitment to self-respect. You are not here to be the favorite. You are here to be free. And freedom ignites the moment you recognize that love obtained through manipulation isn't love at all. That family unity built upon one sibling's sacrifice isn't unity, it's tyranny. You don't have to fight for a seat at a table that devalues you. You can walk away, build your own sanctuary, choose connections that don't demand you compete for air. In the end, a sibling who battles for love at your expense reveals a deeply flawed philosophy. That love is a finite resource, that worth is comparative, and that connection is a prize won through performance. As a Stoic, you know the truth. You know that love doesn't require victory, it demands virtue. In life, betrayal from those who should be our closest allies cuts the deepest. But as Stoics, we understand this critical truth. Our peace, our dignity, and our self-worth are fortresses we must guard. Unmasking these 7 betrayals isn't about brewing resentment. It's about reclaiming your sovereign power and choosing relationships that truly honor your inherent value. Remember, you cannot control their actions, but you always control your response. Erect your boundaries. Defend your inner citadel. Prioritize your well-being as if your life depends on it, because it does. If this video armed you with clarity and strength, hit that like button to show your support. Don't forget to subscribe for more timeless wisdom on forging resilience, integrity, and purpose. Share this with anyone who needs to hear this powerful truth. And remember, your peace is non-negotiable. Fight for it. Until next time, stay strong and keep your mind an unconquerable fortress.